Now this video is actually a video where I actually found out who Nick Walker's coach is. And it's, of all people, Kyle Wilkes. I don't even know
Kyle
the guy.
Wilkes.
Wilkes. Kyle Wilkes. I don't even know the guy. And one of my friends actually sent me a DM. Hey, make a video on this. This is his new coach. He's known for coaching teenage age influencers like Anthony Mantello. So maybe that's why I don't know him. He's more maybe popular amongst the influencers, but you know him very well, right? So can you tell me a little bit more about it and why would Nick choose him?
All right. So Kyle Wilkes he's pretty much known as the influencer coach. He's got a bunch of guys with a million followers. He's got the Trend Twins, he's got Anthony Montello. He's got, a lot of popular people. He's probably got, God, if you've added up all their followers, 20 million maybe. He's really known in that space. He's known for the younger kids. He loves bodybuilding. He loves coaching bodybuilding. He's extremely good at it. And I'm going to explain how I know that in a second. But obviously there's more money in influencers and the younger generation. A lot of people are aging out. So he focuses on the younger population. He likes to make a difference, right? And he feels like, the older crowds, it's hard to change older people's opinions and behaviors and things like that. But he can influence a younger generation in the right direction. So he's always had his heart in the right place, and he's always wanted to, do the right thing and make a difference. He's always that type of person. He's very caring. That's, likely one of the reasons why Nick chose him, because he actually does care, and he'll put the effort in. I'll explain some stories about that in a second. But he's very good with competitors. He's very good with bodybuilders. Him and Nick have been friends for a very long time. And over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, he was assisting Nick here and there. He was training with him a lot. And then Nick went back to his old coach. But in retrospect, this probably would have been the better decision, just simply because I'm familiar with both of their levels of education. I was friends with the first coach for a little while back in 2013 through 2015. Text me a lot, so I know what that coach knows. And the reason why I know what Kyle knows is because I am the one who turned him into a coach. He was a client of mine. So this is a part of my first apprenticeship program. Nobody had even been doing it, but I had him and I had Nelson Jones, and we would communicate back and forth. And I noticed I didn't have a ton of clients. I had probably 30 something, maybe 40. So I had a lot of free time. So whenever somebody asked a question, I'd answer with a book. And I noticed that they could repeat this back to me verbatim, like months down the road, and understand it and apply it. And I'm like, wow, these guys are really smart. That's one of the things about being a coach is, just like somebody can be born better, more muscular, shorter, taller, different color skin. Some people are just born smarter, and these guys fall into that class of highly intellectual, highly intelligent. So I realized they really pick up on this. They're young, they're humble, they want to learn. And so I said, listen, let me turn you guys into coaches. Mind you, neither one had won their class at a time, was known for anything, and nobody would give them a chance, really. So what I did was I educated them for about 18 months heavily. Like I'm telling you, we could probably sell that group chat for a lot of money. And then what we did was we did an introductory program. And you're going to find something interesting about this that I didn't tell you. Is we basically said, I went on my Facebook and I said, I'm going to take in 20 people per coach. We're going to charge a one-time fee of $250. The deal is they're going to gain experience on you. You have the assurance that I educated them, and you have the assurance that I'm going to be overseeing your program. So it's going to be indirectly coached by me for a discount rate. You know who was part of that program?
Who?
Martin Fitzwater.
Oh, really?
Nelson turned him pro. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, he was a part of that program. He signed up for the deal. And listen, honestly, I'm full transparency. I didn't see it at first. And I said, Nelson was showing to me, I was like, yeah, he'd probably be pretty good. Nelson's like, no, he's going to be amazing. And Nelson stuck to his guns. Neither one of them let me influence them. They're very, very headstrong. They're very sure of themselves. And looks like Nelson was right. So Nelson, you're watching this, you were right, buddy. Look at that. And I completely, fully admit it. I think Martin's going to be Mr. Olympia one day. So, both of them were very, very successful in that field, did great with the people that they got. And then they just built on top of that. Now, obviously, this is a long time ago, 2017, 2016, 2015, things like that. It's a long time ago. So now Kyle's his own coach. He's got his own experience. He's learned his own things through the years. I don't help him with anything. We have conversations like mutual coaches, right? Not like a hierarchy now. We do a lot of podcasts together. And listen, you can go watch them on Sebastian Burke's channel and some other channels, and he demonstrates very, very advanced, efficient knowledge and comprehension of every circumstance and situation. Like you could really feel the knowledge coming through the computer or whatever you're watching from on the podcast. So very, very smart person. I think it's a great decision.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I think it's a smart move on his side. Like, there's no coaches that really focus on the influencers. There's way more influencers than there is competitors, obviously. So it's like, why not focusing on that demographic? And at the same time, if he's good, I mean, the bodies work the same whether you're an influencer, a guy working 9 to 5 job, or a pro bodybuilder. The muscles are built the same, right? So he's got the knowledge for whatever kind of athlete. And I'm looking at his Instagram here. There's a lot of like a pro card. This guy's one's physique.
Yeah, so
A lot
like
of
I can
these.
give you a little bit more. I can give you a little bit more background on what he's done and like some insight into his work with the influencers. Now, listen, he's caught some flack here and there, not a lot, just a little bit, because of the influencers. Like not being perfect in this and that. But we don't understand is these influencers don't want to comply. We've talked about this on podcasts.
Mm.
Like I said to him, I said on a podcast, "How did you get the Trend Twins to stick to their program and do everything?" He's like, "Full transparency, I made them stay with me for 4 weeks, and they were on lockdown boot camp." So that's how far he's willing to go to make sure his guys do well. Because he's like, listen, a lot of these people, they have great genetics. They don't want to listen. So like when it gets to the hard part, they don't always execute perfectly. But he ends
Mm.
up turning them all pro anyway, right? So a
Mm.
lot of them have turned pro under him, just as an example of somebody who's maybe not always perfect, but he finds a way to just make it work, get them to do it and such. Some of them are great. Like he just had the, I believe, youngest classic overall national champion, I think last year, 19 years old. Kid came in and smoked everyone. And he might be the youngest. He might have been the youngest to take an overall at nationals ever. I'm not sure about that,
What's
but
his name?
kid looked. I
Is,
forget the kid's name
is it
honestly. His name
Anton or
Anton.
something?
Anton something.
Yeah, okay, that's the guy. Okay, cool.
He's incredible. And, so that's one example of Kyle's work. I believe he turned that kid English pro, Ant Montello. The Trend Twins looked great. Like there's a lot of examples of his phenomenal work, but people don't realize behind the scenes, he's working double time because these kids aren't like serious, like
Mm.
hardcore, this is the only part of my life bodybuilders. He figures out ways to do it. So when you give him a Nick Walker, somebody who's like all in, you're
Hmm.
going to really see him showcase his skills. And the great thing is, like I used to always tell Nick, the best coach for you is the one that cares.
Hmm.
And Kyle is that type of person,
Yeah.
like he's going to be at the shows. He's going to answer every text on time. He's going
Is
to
he local
be,
to because I think his Nick's in Florida again. Is he local to Florida?
I'm not sure about that, honestly. I know Kyle moves around, but I know that when Nick needs him there, he will be there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll fly out for periods of time. I'm sure that he'll stay for weeks at a time. I'm sure that weeks up to the Olympia, he's going to be by his side. Like Kyle's that type of person. Like he really wants to put the work in. He really wants to make sure that the job gets done. And he's very calm. He's very, very relaxed. So he'll keep you at ease. He'll calm you down. He'll make very confident, concise decisions that make sense. And there's really no stress when dealing with him.
Yeah, because I'm trying to see like on his Instagram, his post, the location where it is, and this guy's all over the place. I'm trying to find a
Well, he
like
travels
a
to all of his people very often because he wants
yeah.
to try to keep an eye on everyone the best that he can. So, like, some people, like, the higher the level you get, the more attention you require, right? Because now it's like
Mhm.
squeezing blood out of a rock. Like, Antoine, when you first started lifting weights, you probably grew not even thinking about it, right? And
Mm.
nowadays, because you're already so big and already so advanced, it's harder to get more out of that. So it actually takes more effort now than it used to take. The
Mhm.
better you get, the more effort and precision it requires. So the
Yeah.
better his people get, the more of his attention it requires to continue to get results. And he's the guy who's willing to put that in. He's got a relationship, he's engaged, he's going to get married and have a family, but he still takes his personal time to travel as needed for all of these people.
Yeah. How old is he?
I believe he's 30, 32, something like that.
That's good. Yeah, and he's sponsored by Axe and Sledge and Young LA, and he does like it says hashtag Team Pro FX. Is that his own team, Pro FX that he has now?
No, I believe that's with Johnny Castellina. Me and Johnny used to be partners in ProFX, and then I kind
Okay.
of branched off, and then I introduced them, and he ended up working under Johnny for a period of time. I didn't know if he was still there. I thought Kyle was doing his own thing, but Kyle pretty much does do his own thing nowadays. Um, he's got the knowledge, he's got the education, he's got the understanding. Nobody needs to teach him anything. Nobody needs to show him anything. He is the information source. So this is going to be very, very good. You're going to see a completely new Nick Walker. I've already talked to
So
Kyle about some of the things that they're going to be doing.
already, so like let's because I was going to ask like, so Matt Jensen did something that ended up Nick kind of like pulling out of the Olympia despite his willingness to do it. It's like it wasn't on. Some people say like there was accusation of fake gear, this and that, but I don't really believe that. I think there was other things involved, which we won't really know what it is. But so I'm wondering like what is Kyle gonna do that's like different than Jensen is gonna do?
Well, I don't want to focus too much on the Jansen story. I want to
No.
make sure we keep the focus on this. But as far as what happened previously, there was a mix of communications. There was some procedural things that were done. There was some neglect. But it is what it is. Some people are busy. Who knows? Whatever. But as far as Kyle, we talked about things. He had previously branched off from his last coach years ago, right? And he linked up with somebody new, a friend of mine, Dom Stasio. And
Yeah.
Dom really fixed his waistline and his gut really, really well. And that's why we saw him return with a really tight waist. Because if you notice, his waist shrunk like 2-3 ounces when he returned to 2 or 3 inches when he returned to stage.
Mhm.
That was a matter of reducing inflammation and reestablishing proper gut flora and gut health. And Don Anastasia did that. So he pretty much fixed Nick's problem and then handed him off to Jansen. And then, eventually it looked like Nick started to develop that problem again. And I know that Kyle has since, really hammered that and fixed that. So you're going to, again, see Nick with an even smaller waistline probably than before. Emphasize different parts. See, Kyle's not like, listen, I educated him from the very beginning. So I know how he thinks. Like he came baseline with me and I built the whole thing up myself. So like I have very strong confidence because of my personal beliefs in what I do, right? So I'm always
Mhm.
going to be biased towards this. But Kyle is not the person that's going to be like, hey, let's just lift and slap on muscle and just hope it all goes in the right places. No, there's going to be a strategy to it now. We want to
Mhm.
put muscle here. We want to put muscle here because he understands symmetry, right? And balance. So he's like, we need a specific. So it's not like, hey, we need to gain 10 pounds. It's like, we need to gain 10 pounds, but we have to put 5 of it here, 2 of it here. Like, it's like sculpting a sculpture, right? So he's going to strategically be placing muscle and developing Nick. So you're going to see a Nick that's a lot more balanced, a lot more flowy, a lot more symmetrical, smaller waist, and I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say better condition.
Yeah, and so is trainers is it a guy named Jared, right? Because
Yes, I'm friends with Jared Feather. Jared
yeah,
Feather is under Mike Israetel, who obviously we know is a highly acclaimed educator, exercise scientist, pretty much top of the line expert. You know, he can take things down to the cellular level, and that's his protege, right? Just
mhm.
like Kyle was mine and Nelson were mine, like my initial proteges. That's his protege. So he's a branch off of Mike Israetel, but now he's got a lot of new age, education as well. Because now Jared is his own person, just like with Kyle. So he took his base and then built on it the way he saw fit. So he's got more of a younger, more innovative, more in today style, open minded type approach. And he does mixed training. And he's extremely, extremely good at it. He's also a pro himself, classic pro, with phenomenal shape. So if you look at his
Jared.
shape, phenomenal shape, bro.
Oh wow,
I think that if work wasn't so busy for him, he'd be a classic Olympian.
that's
But he's
awesome.
very, very busy with his work. He's very dedicated to his craft. He's, very brainy, extremely. I've had conversations with Jared that were like so refreshing because they're like conversations, rest in peace that I used to have with Matt Porter. Me and Matt used to have conversations where everyone around us was kind of like, the fuck are you guys talking about? So
Mhm.
like with Jared, I don't have to dumb anything down. Like I could say the most advanced words, references to anything, and he gets it, like he knows it. Like he owns that information. He's extremely intellectual. So the team that Nick put together as far as doing his training and doing his prep, it's an elite team. It really is.
It's pretty smart of him to do that, and I feel like if I was Nick Walker and I had a bad experience with Matt and whatever, then people whose coach is this, I think he was like, you know what, I'll choose like just the up and coming the best crop of the new up and coming guys where I already showed already proven their results and their capabilities. I would then he's like fuck these like renowned super known coaches like Hani, Aceto, Matt. Let's go with like these guys. And I think
I
maybe
agree.
it's just a change of pace for him. It's pretty very, very nice. And then for these new guys, they probably got to put even more effort and focus on Nick. And I know Nick appreciates that a lot, where coaches give him a lot of attention. We all do, but I know Nick voiced that before. So for him, it's like it's perfect, and for the coaches, it's like, wow, we got the third best bodybuilder in the world as a client now. Let's not mess this up, right? So I think it's a good idea. So I just wonder what type of like nutrition wise, supplement wise, I wonder what Kyle is going to do. But he seems like he gets people really lean and really all looking good, right? He doesn't have like any mass monsters that I see on his Instagram. So Nick is the guy with the most muscle that he has by far. Kind of hard to beat that,
You got to
but
remember though,
yeah.
the style of education that I used to do and I currently still do is he may not have a lot of mass monsters, but he's had privilege and experience and been able to view and watch mass monsters through me. Because when I did run my apprenticeship program, all of my best guys go in a group chat with my apprentices. So they watch the
Mm,
whole blindfold program. They have privy to absolutely everything. So he's had secondhand experience throughout many years. Some of the really really good competitors, they've had privilege to information from high level pros that I was friends with that I knew what they were doing. They shared with me, didn't mind me sharing and whatnot. So they've had privilege to a lot of experiences. So it's not like they're new at this. And like you said, I think you made a phenomenal point with the fact that they're young, they've got something to prove, they're going to put that effort in, right? And
mm.
and I think that this is just going to be like the perfect storm. It's going to come out really, really well, honestly.
That's gonna be very interesting. So, do you know any plans that they might have said or Nick said somewhere that might have missed as far as the next show is gonna do?
I know that they haven't. Sorry about that.
All right.
I know that they haven't definitely set on a show. They're just trying to track his progress and see where it goes and make a decision on what's going to be the next best package for him and at the right time. I know they do want to do some very big shows, because Nick doesn't want to, jump into a small one. Nick wants to, make an impression. And with Kyle and Jared, I'm pretty damn sure that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever competes against Nick, you guys are going to have a hard time. I think he's going to come in at his best ever, honestly, and then he's going to be even better for the Olympia. But
How
as
much
far
time?
as what they're doing,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, as far as what they're doing nutritionally, there is no set thing because Kyle is not the type of coach that has a set method, right? Again, this is my beliefs, so I translated off to him, and he built on that. But like, he still has the same set of core values that I, initially. So he knows don't get stuck on a method. People were saying like with Nick's old coach, he had a method, right? And if it didn't work with some people, oh well. Kyle's not going to do that. Kyle will use keto. Kyle will use high carbs. Kyle will use low carbs, high fat, low fat, high protein. He's going to look at what your body does, check the response, read it, and adapt. So it's going to be constantly adapting. So there's not going to be a set method that he does. It's going to be based off of what the best response is, which is the right way to do it.
Yeah, because I feel like the Matt Jensen off-season protocol is like a staple thing. It's like a plan that it works with a lot of guys. Even Quentin, he blew off in the
Bunch of
off-season.
freaks.
Yeah, but I find that in the contest prep, there's been some misses in regards, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe some coaches are stuck too much on their ideas. Like for example, Dave Palumbo loves the zero carb
Yeah,
or low carb, right? But like, why would that work for everyone? I mean, if he really
it won't.
believes that, maybe on paper it could, right? On paper, the science maybe it can, but I feel like it doesn't work for everyone. Like,
It's not going to work. It's not going to work for everyone, especially people with faster metabolisms, right? That can burn through
mhm,
muscle. That need that glycogen to support, workout performance and whatnot. Don't store glycogen so well. Don't hold glycogen so well. Burn it up really fast. You're going to have problems with that. So any coach that gets stuck and married to a single concept and a single method is limiting themselves.
it's a
And that's
mistake.
again what Nick's previous coach did. If it doesn't work for you, then you're pretty much screwed, and he doesn't know how to pivot. Whereas Kyle can pivot off of anything because he's got a real base knowledge of education. So whatever he sees, anything good or bad, he's going to pivot off of it. He's going to either use it or switch it up. It's a constant read. It's not just let's do this and sit on it for the next 6 months. It's a constant read. Check in. How are we doing? What are we doing? How's our pumps? How was our training? How's the physique looking? Okay, let's try this. Let's try that. It's a constant adjustment in order to be the best in the world, right?
So let's say that's a strong point, right? To adjust and pivot, like you said. But what would be Kyle's weak point as a coach?
I think that he used to
I
have a
have
weak
one.
point.
I have one. I think
I don't think
politics.
he has many weak points now. I know when we first started, he was a numbers guy, right? He was very, very technical. So he wanted to write like an algorithm for peaking, right? Like he thought there was a mathematical formula that could be drawn out and just calculated, and this is how it can be done. So now I think he still uses that, but he also uses his judgment mixed in, which is what you should do, right? So you
Mhm.
take your base knowledge education and your calculations, but then you also observe what you see and you don't ignore it, right? You've got to be honest with what you see. Is this working? Is this not? Is this what I want? Is this the best result? So I don't really think he's got. Honestly, in my opinion, I think that he's lesser known because he doesn't work with a lot of the top pros because he prefers to work with the influencers. He wants people that will listen to him that don't have egos,
Hmm.
that he can influence, and they're younger, so he can do that. But I think that if he had a lot of big names, he'd be up there with the Arsenio, Ahani, and all those names right now. He just the opportunities and the decisions to work with those people. He's working with Nick because they're friends and they're good friends, and Nick can rely on him and count on him, right? But he's also got that knowledge and advanced education skill set. So, like I said, I'm talking a little bold here. I am a little biased to the situation, but I have full confidence in it.
Hmm. Maybe another weak point that he could have is just the politics, but I think that could change once Nick Walker plays really well, and then people all know about him, right? Because I feel like there's been I know a friend of mine that was with Chris Aceto just because of the name, but was getting help by another coach behind the scenes. So it's like,
That does happen.
so
You'll
yeah,
notice as a coach, if I'm being fully transparent, you'll notice as a coach that when you have higher level competitors, like when I went to Chicago with you, right? Because Dorian was in prep for his show, and we had to like kind of dual prep it, like, so I could be there with you. Everybody was much nicer to me. All the promoters, all the judges. You'll notice that when you're with a higher end client that has a big social media, big exposure, and brings money in, and really helps the industry, they show you a little favor. That's honest. That's just how it is. But Kyle's got a lot of influencers though, so he could bring in a whole younger generation of people into this industry. So I don't think the politics are going to hurt him. I think that they're going to see his value. They're going to see his skill set. And the main thing is they want to have confidence that you're going to bring this athlete in the way they're supposed to be, right? To make the show the best it can be. So
hmm,
if they don't think that you have that skill set, they're not going to really show you any favor. Now, I don't mean favor as in call outs. I mean favor as in just being polite, being cordial, good seating, things like that. Like
yeah.
not being overlooked and stuff like that. But I don't think they're going to change the results. But they're definitely going to be nicer to you if they see that you can get the job done and there's benefit to it.
And I just look at the Jensen's followers. He has 201K followers, and with all the top athletes that he had for all these years, started with Dallas, right? And Kyle already has 88.4K followers, so 88,000 followers, and so he's like,
And look how often he posts.
does he post often?
No.
No. So let's see this post here. That was, what is that? 1 week ago. 1 week
So
ago.
remember we talked about marketing,
Exclusive.
coaches building their names marketing. Kyle's the total opposite. He doesn't market at all. His reputation is what builds him the following.
And
His work
people
builds him the
tagging
following.
him probably, and because I'm sure the Trent twins are, how much do they have? They got
Listen,
like
you're following
1.8
somebody, you
million
see somebody
followers.
looks phenomenal, you look at the coach, you're like, oh, I got to follow this guy. This guy's,
Yeah.
he's legit. I want to learn. I want to see what this guy is doing. So that's how he gets his following. It's a matter of his results, not a matter of his marketing.
So awesome. So
Those that
Jared,
80 something K is a lot different than that 200K. It's not from marketing.
yeah, you're right. And so he will do the diet, the supplements, I believe, the protocol, I believe, and then Jared will do the training. Is does he do posing too or no? Like a Kyle, I mean.
Yeah, no, yeah. He poses with his guys. You'll see it in his stories. He understands posing very, very well. Like I'm telling you, he's well rounded. You're not going to find many weak spots. I'm going to tell you, he's better than his previous coach with subs. He's lower dose. He knows how to utilize synergy because I always emphasize 1+1 is 5. 1+1 is not 2. So if you put things together that have a synergy, you get an amplified effect. And that's very
Mm.
important to understand which ones go together, in what doses, in what sequence, in what scenarios, how to do it, why to do it, when to do it, in what amounts, and to really optimize it. And he knows how to do that. A lot of coaches don't.
All right. Well, we got it. We got it, Phil. We know who the coach is. Well, you already knew, but doesn't matter.
I do,
And
but
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
did not tell anybody.
yeah. That's good. And all right. Well, thanks, Phil. It's good to clear that up. So now I can stop wondering at night who's Nick Walker's coach is and go to bed in
But more
peace.
than one
And
coach gives cereal post workout.
yeah, yeah. Well, so Kyle does that. I mean, a lot of guys do it, but Kyle does it too, right?
Yes, he does.
I guess he does. Or Nick really loves cereal, but so let's keep in touch and see what all things
Let's
evolve
see how
with the
this
Kyle and
unfolds.
yeah with Kyle and Nick and All right, let's
And Jared.
yeah, and Jared. So let's keep on moving. Thanks.